So, hey guys, this is another episode of the Speakeasy Podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of what it is to be a speaker or an author. Now, listen, I know you saw the title. Why are you getting excited? Why? Because when we go to a small event as a speaker, oh my goodness, how many of you have gone through being at a small event where there's not that many people and walking away with $0? Going and speaking on a stage and walking away with $0. Or you go to an event and you sell 2 books.
Whoop, whoop.
completely flustered because you've taken a flight or you've taken time off or you've done all of these things to be able to go and be at this event because you were thinking that you were going to convert more people or you were going to make more money, and it's really difficult. Needless to say, it is super difficult for you to, get into the habit of making money from the stage, but we're going to combat that today. So for all of you that are listening in, I definitely want your review on this. And who am I? I'm your host, Altavis Pelzer, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, and Amazon bestselling author and podcaster. And listen, let's talk about selling from the stage. That part. So first, I'm going to have my guest introduce himself.
Hey, hi everyone. Simone Vincenzi here. Thank you very much, Altavis, for having me here on this show. It's great to be here.
Y'all saw what I did, right? I had him say his name because I wanted to hear him say it.
All right, that's what it is. I get. Yeah, a lot of people like a bit of Italian accent, so I would say.
Yes, he has an Italian accent, so I was just like, I'm not going to say his name because I want him to say it. Y'all know that I'm silly, guys, but I love what he's been doing. And like I said, we connected on LinkedIn. Y'all know LinkedIn, you get a lot of messages sometimes. So then we reconnected here on Facebook, and it was a great, opportunity because I get to see what he's been doing and some things. And we're going to be working some more later on down the line. But let them know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I started speaking when I was 22. I was managing Micheline Star restaurants. That was my background in the catering industry. And I always loved talking to people. That's why I loved managing restaurants and being a waiter, because I was getting paid to talk to people. That's for me why I love that job. And I was in London working in a Michelin Star restaurant, very famous. And I went through a period of a phase where I didn't know what to do anymore, because all I did since the age of 14 was working in restaurants. So I was 22. I said, well, I've already worked 8 years in this career. Now I want to manage a chain of restaurants. And because of that, I started attending seminars and courses, because I was looking for further courses for professional development, for personal development, but I didn't want to go down the academic route because I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I hated school. I was always the naughty kid at the back of the room that all the teachers said, no, go out, get out of the house. You can talk even with the walls, they were telling me, and say, stop talking. And when I attended my first seminars, I said, no way. These people are getting paid a lot of money to speak, and they're helping people and changing lives. What kind of job is that? I want to know more now. So instead of getting interested into how to become a manager for a chain of restaurant, I got interested in how can I become a speaker and how can I help people through speaking. And that was the start of my journey. And I remember I was there sitting in the front row, and I said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And at that point, I started and ran my first event. After a few months, I made the decision. And yeah, we can talk about that if you want.
Right? It's interesting because I just completed my first 7-city tour. And when you do your own event, it's even more interesting than when you're going to somebody else's event. And when you're talking about, selling from the stage, there's a lot that comes into it. You really do have to plan out what that really means for you. What is that, what does that number look like? So from that first event that you did you sell from the stage at the first event?
Well, okay, let's start. Why did I start my first event? And I did my first event instead of speaking at someone else's event. My English was so bad that people couldn't really understand me. So I had a very strong Italian accent. I've been in the UK, in London for only a year and a half. So I could barely speak English. And so no one wanted me to be on their stages. That was the real reason. And I started, so I said, well, if no one wants me, then I'll get people to come to me. And I started connecting with the other speakers in the meanwhile. And I was attending every event that I could possibly attend, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And I was connecting with the speakers, with the event organizers. And I started having almost like a lot of connections with speakers. And I said, well, I can put an event where I'm going to invite other speakers, and at least some people will get to know me. And that's how my business partner and I started our events company. And the first event, we had 4 people. We were in a farm. We had no money. So we had this room for free in a farm. There was pigs that were running around everywhere. A very bad smell, that, as you can imagine. It's not the perfect.
Wait. Did you say that the first event was at a farm?
Yeah, it was an organic farm in the middle of London.
Oh, wow.
I managed to negotiate the room for free for 7 events. And I said, well, at least I got a place. Gotta start somewhere, right?
Gotta start somewhere, definitely. That's an interesting story.
Well, I'm the kind of person that there are so many people that expect they wait up until they have everything lined up until the stars are aligned, and there is the perfect moment. The reality is there is never the perfect moment. That's why a lot of people, they want to become speakers, but they will never become speakers. They will never make money with speaking because they think, well, people will not understand me. My accent is not good enough if they're not native English speaking. Or they will say, is my topic going to be interesting? Are people going to be interested in what I'm going to say? Are people going to buy what I'm going to provide? Am I offering any value? And if you wait up until you have all the right answer to these questions, then you're already lost. So that's why we decided to start our first event, and we had 4 people. 2 were actually the speakers. One was my business partner's father. And the other one was the only person who actually came in the room that we chained at the chair. We said, no, you're not going to leave right now. You're going to stay here. And we didn't make any money for the first 20 events. No money at all.
Now that speaks volumes, because oftentimes people see people that have made it, they see people that have become successful, and they immediately think that, wow, you've done this amount of events that, by this time you should definitely be making, billions of dollars, right?
Yeah, you wish.
Exactly. Okay, so we do the first event. The first event has 4 people, 2 are speakers. So when we look at that event then, and then look at, you just came from an event today, you look at then and now, what's your feeling about that?
I believe that practice is the master of all skills. You practice, you become better, you make more money, you become better speaker, you get more gigs. So what I did, if you're looking at this difference, I did more than 1,000 events in the past 5 years. I have an average of about 200 speaking gigs every year for the past 5 years. So it's been a lot of work. And now I can go on stage. I know exactly how much money I'm making even before stepping on stage. All without doing the hard selling. I hate that, because that was one of the reasons why I wasn't able to monetize it, because I didn't want to use the way, the hard sell, run at the back of the room, or your house is going to burn and your family is going to die and everything you care about is going to fall apart if you don't buy this product right now. I hated all that, hated it. And I said to myself, I don't want to use it. I don't want to do that way, because I think it's a bunch of crap, pardon the French. And I didn't have, at the same time, I didn't have any other positive role model. So I had to find my own way of, because in my mind, I said, can I find another way of pitching, of selling, that makes me the same amount of money, but I don't have to compromise on the value I deliver. And I don't have to tell lies to people, basically. That was where I was coming from. So it took me a while to find it. And I remember we had the first event after, I think, 20 events. We made the first £200 in one night. Then we made another 500 the next one. Then we made 800 in one evening. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Then we made 1,000 in a day. It was like, whoa, I made it. Then we made 10,000 a day. I was like, oh, sign me up. I love this. To right to the point where we can make generally average now, we make 100 to 150,000 pounds, which is about $180,000 in a room of 10 to 20 people. And that changed my life, and that changed my business. That's why I believe that selling from the stage is, in my opinion, the ticket to financial freedom. When you're mastering that, and it's difficult, it's not easy, but when you're mastering the art of selling from the stage, which is an art and a science at the same time, nothing can stop you. From there, I did events with Les Brown, Gary Vee. I did events with hundreds of people and thousands sometimes, and was able to be featured on Sky Television, write for Forbes magazine, Entrepreneur. All that happened because of the success that we had with our events and the ability to sell from the stage.
And, that speaks volumes. So many times we look at the journey and we think that, oh, it's got to be easier than this, right? It's got to be, no, I don't have to keep failing. I don't have to, but it's the difference between failing and giving up and failing forward.
Yep.
And when we decide that we're going to fail forward, we learn lessons along the way. Now we try not to make the same mistakes. I'm sure right now you would not be going back to the farm to have an event. But then again, you may.
If everything falls apart, you know what? I think this is really important. I've learned something from some of my best mentors that I said, never forget where you're coming from. So would I never go back to a farm? I don't know. If I have to, I'll go back to the farm and rebuild things from there. Because you never know. Hope for the best and always be prepared for the worst. I know I'm prepared for the worst. So, but hopefully I would not have to go back to the farm. Let's put it this way.
Right. We don't want that to happen.
No, we don't want that anymore.
That's not
like a 5-star hotel now.
Oh my goodness, I love it. So now selling from the stage, let's be honest. There's this whole stigma that in order for you to be a quote unquote paid speaker, it means that the event itself has to pay you. And you and I know.
Can I swear in this podcast or not? Just to understand. Can I swear in this podcast or not?
Yes, you can.
Okay, bullshit. I got your permission, so I'm just saying.
It's like, we know that that's just not how it works. It's not how any of this goes. That literally it just doesn't happen always in that realm. And I think it's because there's a lot of speakers that don't really talk about that piece. And I mean, you just talked about, being on the stage with Les Brown, being on the stage with Gary Vee. awesome opportunities. Now, the selling from the stage part, when being on the stage with them, how did that work out?
In that case, actually, in those cases, I wasn't selling. This is another part. So let's address things one at a time. You mentioned the fact that is a lot of people talk about if you want to make money as a speaker, you gotta be paid up front. I think if you want to make very little money as a speaker, and if you want to have a very hard life, you gotta be paid up front. Because if you want as a speaker, you get paid, you can get paid once you become famous between $1,000 to $10,000 for a gig, which is awesome for some people. Fantastic. Absolutely. But that's your limit. Now, if you're thinking about that, the most famous people in the world, Grant Cardone would charge $200,000 to appear to an event. Les Brown would charge $100,000 to appear to an event. Tony Robbins will charge $3,000 to $500,000. Talk about in dollars, pounds, whatever you want, dollars to appear at an event. But I say I come for free because I'm not that big guru and don't have a huge audience, don't have a massive following. I'm known, but nothing compared to these guys. But I can go in a room and make 100,000, 200,000 from the clients that I get. And for me, instead of getting, working so hard and getting paid 2,000, I prefer making 100,000. There's a big difference. So that's why I think I wanted to address that first, because it's all about depending how do you want to be known on the field. There is no right or wrong, because also gotta say selling from the stage is not for everyone. There are some people that don't want to sell from the stage. There are some people that just say, I want to be known as a paid keynote speakers. And I got a lot of clients that are known as paid keynote speakers. For example, my wife is a paid speaker, right? Completely different niche. She said, I don't want to go and sell my stuff. I want just to go in there and host an event and get paid for it. Great. That's fantastic. For me, I use speaking to grow the business that I have. So if you want to be a paid speaker, speaking becomes your end product. If you want to grow a business, speaking becomes the way you market yourself and you market your business to get clients to your business. Right? And therefore, the more clients you get, then the more money you make. So then in terms of Les Brown, Gary Vee, when I did the event with them, which was a few years ago, I wasn't big enough to pitch from the stage because very few people knew me 3 years ago when I did the gig with Les Brown. But I already did more than 500 events when that happened. So I was good. No one knew me, but I was really good. So when the opportunity happened, I stepped up as a host of the event. So I was hosting the event. I became the MC because I got that as a skill as well, as a speaking skill. So I didn't make any money on the front end, but my business doubled in the next few weeks because of all the amount of people that saw me on that stage that got interest. And I didn't mention even who I was, what I was doing. I was just there for the audience. But those opportunities with Les Brown, with Gary Vee, which I got in a very similar way, they also helped then people that knew who I was. And that got me, I'm speaking now in an event where I'm going to be selling with Jarek Robbins, which is the son of Tony Robbins, and Dr. John DeMartini in a week time from the moment we are recording. But now people know me, so it's easier for me to go and step up and play with the bigger guys. But before, I just had to go in 2 different ways and be a bit more creative. Let's put it this way.
That is one thing that I have to say, that as speakers, we definitely have to be creative.
Hell yeah.
We definitely have to be creative because guess what? If we're looking to make this a huge success and make this a career choice, then guys, it doesn't always work out the way that we thought. It doesn't always fit into this nice, clean little box. It doesn't work that way. So we have to be creative and we have to be flexible.
Absolutely. 100%. 100% agree with you.
We definitely have to be flexible. So wow, hosting an event where Gary Vee is, where Les Brown is, that experience I'm sure was mind-blowing. I'm sure that you were probably taking a whole lot of notes like, yep, I'm watching.
It was amazing. It was an incredible. It was amazing just being in the backstage, because there were two different events. So being in the backstage with them, having the opportunity to get to know them. And a quick side story about Les Brown. When I started my business, I this is another part of my story, but I chose to be homeless. I had some issues with my family in Italy, and I was living in London, and I needed to go back to help my mom, but I didn't have enough money to stay in London, and I didn't have enough time then to go back and forth and still have a job. So I said, well, I got some savings. I'm staying at my mom's when I'm in Italy, but I'm sleeping in a coffee shop when I was in London. That happened for about 6 months while I was going through my studies to become a coach. And that for me was just a natural decision. I'm like, okay, what do I got to do? This is what I can do right now. And I became really good friends with the guys in the coffee shop that would let me sleep there in the night. Sometimes I was sleeping in parks. It was cold because it was also winter. But then to keep me motivated every single day, because even if it wasn't my choice, it was tough. It was bloody hard. And to keep me motivated every single day, I was listening to Les Brown every single day. So when I met him and I was in the backstage, just me and him, I was able to thank him and say, just, your motivational clips on YouTube, they are the one that helped me. I would have probably I've got a tough skin, so I would have got through anyway, but it was that, I gotta say, helped me massively to get through it. So I had to thank him, because I think that as a speaker, you never know what kind of material you're putting out. If you're listening right now, and you never know who is going to listen to that, even if it's one person and you're changing their lives for YouTube videos that you're putting out, maybe they will never have the chance to see you, but you know that your content is changing lives. And that's why I love this industry. That's why I'm very passionate about it, because it changed my life. And that's why I wanted to be in this industry, and that's what I wanted to do.
See, now you're over here trying to make me cry. Oh my goodness, I love it, because again, we never know somebody's journey behind the scenes. And those of us here in the States, many of them may not know who you are just yet, but they're getting to know you and they're going to know you. So, it's great being able to see that, guess what? This is speaking is universal.
Yeah.
And it crosses barriers. We call it across the pond. It crosses the pond. It crosses everything. Having that motivation and that support of somebody's words is really powerful. So I love that part is, it really, it really resonates with me, because it's been those people that have really shared their messages that, you really can go back and listen to and say, you know what, if they made it through, I can make it through as well. You know what they're saying is really, it hit the nail on the head. Let me go ahead and keep pushing and not quit.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So I love that about it. Now, I always ask, first let me say, okay, so the selling from the stage, I know that there are a ton of different ways and a ton of different things that you could say about it, but your top 3, what would be your top 3 tips when it comes to selling from the stage?
Yeah, absolutely. One, this is the number one, which is the first one, is to find your natural style. Everyone has a different natural style. And the problem with you are selling from the stage using someone else's pitch or someone else's style, people can see that you're not yourself anymore. So they might love you when you're delivering your content because you know what you're talking about. That's yourself. You're putting your personality into it. But then if you change that personality when you're selling, then the audience will stop trusting you, because say, who is this person now? Why are they acting different? And it happens all at a subconscious level. They're not going to say it, but you can feel it in the room. I'm sure you've been to an event where you can feel that there is a shift of energy in the speaker, because now they are not comfortable during the pitch. And so the most important thing is to find your natural style and understand that the pitch is a part of the talk. There is no difference between the content you deliver and the sales that you make. Now, easier said than done, because it comes with experience as well. The more you do it, the better you become. But if you're already finding and pitching in a style, and actually say what you think, this is the thing that converts most. Say what you think. If you don't like the hard way of selling from the stage, say, you know what? I don't like the hard way of selling from the stage. I don't like when people do this. This is why I'm going to do it in a different way. If you like the hard way on selling from the stage, then you go for it. The most important thing is the value that you deliver to your client. Back up your promises with results. That's the most important thing. As long as you do that, whether you use the hard way, whether you use a softer way, as long as it is your own personal, normal style, go for it. So that's number one. Secondly is, if you're starting out, don't make your lives too difficult. Getting someone to pay in that moment and to make in a very short time a decision to spend $1,000 or tens of thousands of dollars, it requires a very high level of skills. So don't make your life difficult. Start with an easier way. So there is a clause. I teach in my courses 3 types of clauses. One of these clauses is the application clause. Probably you've seen it many times. And that's where instead of selling a product, you say, I have a course. You don't mention the price, don't mention anything else. You said this course is going to, or a program or whatever, is going to help you get these results. So you mention the results. It's going to help you solve this problem. Do you want to know more? There is an application form, apply. I'm going to ask you a few questions. We jump on a call, and then you get the clients in that way. Now, all your resistance, because, remembering all the different parts of a pitch is tough. That's also why it took me so long, because I was immediately going for the sale. But if you start easier and build that muscle, then start pitching something to people that is free. Start pitching a free consultation. Start pitching a program where people, they just have to apply to know more. And then you become better. So that's tip number 2. Start easy. Use the application clause. That's way easier. And then the third thing that I can say in terms of becoming great at selling from the stage is that practice is the master of all skills. I became obsessed. When I was in the tube, I was practicing every day. I was just rehearsing my pitch. I was rehearsing it in front of the mirror. I was videoing myself in my room. I had a small room. That's what I was living in, a shared house. So I was just having the phone in front of me, taped on the wall, so that I could, and we all did it. I know we all did it. We don't have a tripod. We take the tape and we tape the phone on the wall. And I did that just so I could watch myself back and see, okay, what am I saying? How am I doing it? And so I would practice and practice and practice, and going to the point where then I became good and I started making a bit of money. So practice, 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 practice. In particular, practice in front of a friend, practice in front of someone that knows what they're doing. But in our courses, something that we do when we teach our students to sell from the stage, they spend this time learning how to do it, and they spend this much practicing it. Because the words will change all the time. What you need to become comfortable with is remembering a bit the structure, and to trust yourself and to be yourself. So you are focused on the audience. You are not focused on the words that you're going to say. And that comes with practice. So join a school or a program that can help you practice with other people. Or if you don't have the money to do that, practice in front of other people. No matter what, do something where you're actively testing and rehearsing it. Because then when you're going in front of a live stage and a live audience, you've done that practice. And a lot of people will just, rehearse a couple of times in their mind, then go in front of a live audience, and then, it didn't work. I wonder why. Really?
That's definitely the difference between this being a career or it being a side hustle or, something that you just do when you get an opportunity to do it. No, when this is a career, you treat it like a career. The same way that you would go for training for your business, for your job, is the same way that you would go for training for speaking, the same way that you would go and spend time learning how to do new things. And listen, you do the same thing when it comes to speaking. There is no difference.
100%. Absolutely.
And so I always ask everyone who comes onto the podcast, what has been a blunder for you? So in this journey, when you look back and you say, maybe that was not the best choice.
Where do I start? Okay, let's look at which one wasn't the best choice. Which one can I pick? Okay, definitely one where, this one, getting an office space when we didn't need an office space. That was one of the silliest decisions. I ended up wasting, I think, about £8,000, which is about $10,000 in that bloody office. And it was a great deal. We had an office so that could fit about 25 people. And we had this amazing idea to then sublet different places. So there was just me and my business partner in our company. So there were two of us. So we didn't need an office of 25 people. But it was cool because we had 2 floors. We had a meeting room. There were the whiteboards. Like, we felt we've made it. Problem is that the first bill was about £3,000, and they were the only £3,000 we had in our account. So what we relied on is said, okay, now we have 30 days to find other people to sublet this office at £500 a month, so at least we can pay the office. Yeah, they didn't work out too well because we didn't understand that we are going into the business of renting office spaces, which was not our business. And the location wasn't right. The price point wasn't right. We had a lot of people that said yes. And this is, I think, something to be aware of. Someone that says yes is worth nothing because it counts when they put the money in the account. You can have 100 people that say yes in principle. And over these 100 people that say yes in principle, we have 2 people that put the money in the account. So what counts is the money in the account. So we had 100 people saying yes, but then when it was the moment actually to pay, they didn't. And so that's also one of the things that we've learned in terms of take pre-bookings before making the commitment. Get them to pay up front and then find a place. So that's would have been a smarter way to address and to take advantage of the deal that we had at the time. But yeah, it left us basically broke. We lost all our money that we had. And then after 3 months or 4 months, I think we had to close that place and renegotiate the contract. Fortunately, the landlord, which now is a good friend because he was running his company there, now is a good friend, and he's been very kind and didn't charge us for the full amount of the contract. He understood our situation, and then we became really good friends after that, and we're doing other business stuff together at the moment. So yeah, that was a moment where I said, you know what, big mistake, very impulsive.
And I think a lot of times we do that. When we go into it, we want to have the look, the look.
I'm the boss now.
Because you said the whiteboard, and I'm like, yeah, that's the look. When we see people online and we see them showcasing what they do as a speaker, that's the look. But that's not really the journey per se, but it's cute because it's the look.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, this has been a phenomenal episode. I appreciate you coming on. Again, I always wanted to be able to make a platform where I could connect with people across the world. And I'm excited that, the Speakeasy podcast, connecting with speakers and authors, we've been able to do that and connect with people all over the world. It makes for interesting stories because, listen, it just, things happen, but it also allows us to understand that there's a thread that really connects us. And no matter where you may be in the world, the speaker journey is still going to be the speaker journey. You're still going to have your ups and downs. The road to success is definitely not a straight road at all. And so I want you to let them know how they can connect with you. And I heard something about you having a gift for them?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of people that they always ask me, okay, can you give me a process of selling from the stage? Can you help me out? And I'm not a fan of scripts because I think that scripts get you focused on the words instead of getting focused on the audience. But I'm a big fan of checklists and frameworks in which you can understand the points that you need to remember, but then you allow your personality and the words to fill those checklists and those frameworks and the gaps that there are there. And that's why I've created to help myself. At the beginning was for me, it was create a checklist to say, okay, what do I need to say first and what do I need to say second and third to get someone to buy? And I did for myself. And then some people ask it, oh, can you give me the checklist? Can you give me the checklist? Can I give me the checklist? 5,000 downloads later, that checklist became pretty popular. So you can go on my website, which is www.GTeX.org.uk. Let me repeat it again. www.GTeX.org.uk. Someone says that you got to always repeat 3 times. So I repeat a third time. www.gtex.org.uk. And you can click on the Get Started button and you can download the Selling from the Stage checklist. There is resources on how to create the pitch, how to create the offer, and that you can use. It's been very useful for a lot of people. I hope that's going to be useful for you too.
You know, I love that because a lot of times you see so many people giving out tips, and yeah, not everybody is into a script per se, because you do get into the habit of sounding like somebody else instead of sounding like yourself. So yeah, I would never. I tell people it's okay if it's a straw man and it's something just to give you the basics of what it is that's supposed to be there. But you don't want to copy somebody's script word for word. That's not cool.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that do that, and then it sounds, as you said, everyone sounds the same, while people buy because you are different. What the information that you share probably are the same as everyone else. The information I share, I've learned it somewhere else. But what's unique about me is myself, my journey, my personality, the way I share it, and that's the same for you. So that's why I believe in frameworks and in frameworks and checklists rather than scripts, because I don't want to sound like someone else. Because the moment they see where the source is coming from, then they're like, oh, you're just copying the other guy.
Exactly. I always tell people there's already a Les Brown, there's already a Lisa Nichols, there's only one you. Let's go with that. Let's take that and run with it. Definitely. So you guys, I'm super excited. Simply because you guys, I always get excited when it's time to have an interview and it's time to talk to another speaker and author about their journey and, you know, the ups, the downs. You guys heard a lot of ups and downs in today's episode. But guess what? If you're a speaker and author, I would love to have you on as a guest. If you go to bit.ly/speakeasy podcast, all lowercase, you can come on and be a guest here on the show. We would greatly appreciate it. Listen, what would be your final word to somebody who is just getting into the industry as a speaker?
It's going to take longer than you think. I don't want to be a party pooper. I just like to be realistic here.
Agreed.
It's going to take longer than you think, and it's going to be more expensive than you think. But it's going to be as rewarding as you think.
I love that. So guys, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Speakeasy Podcast. Definitely check us out on iTunes and give us a review. We want to know how this episode connected with you. bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast Show. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.